I'm not usually one to spill my guts online, but after the whirlwind of the last few months, I need to get this off my chest. Maybe someone out there will find it amusing or take it as a cautionary tale. This isn't some epic tale of triumph, just a regular guy who got played and finally decided enough was enough. I don't want pity. I just need to vent. And yeah, I should have seen the signs earlier. But that's why I'm sharing this. If you're about to tie the knot, take a hard look at your situation and make sure you're not being taken for a ride. So, a bit of background. I'm Nathan, 29, and I was with Sarah for nearly 3 years, engaged for about 8 months. We met at a local dog park, which always felt like a charming story to tell. Our friends used to tease us for being that couple, always together, matching outfits, cute captions on social media. It was picture perfect for a while. Sarah's family is intense, to put it mildly. They're the type to grill you about your career goals while you're just trying to enjoy a meal. Her sister Emma is always around, obsessed with horoscopes and constantly talking about aligning energies or some nonsense. Sarah's mom, Linda, is the master of just checking in messages. I still get them, even now. The first red flag hit me at Linda's birthday dinner. I showed up with a nice bottle of wine and some fancy cupcakes, fresh from a workout because Sarah had been texting me to not be late. Her mom would notice. The house was packed, noisy, chaotic. Emma was already tipsy, rambling about cosmic debts or whatever. I'm passing the mashed potatoes when Sarah's cousin Trey, yep, that's his actual name, says, "So, Nathan's footing the bill for this too, huh?" He laughs, but it's not friendly. It's sharp, like he's trying to sting me. Sarah shoots Emma a look like they're in on some private joke. I felt this weird knot in my gut, like I was out of the loop. It wasn't a huge deal, but it stuck with me. On the drive home, I asked Sarah what that was about. She brushed it off, saying, "Trey's just like that, don't take it personally," and then buried her face in her phone, scrolling through reels. Conversation over. After that, I started picking up on things I'd missed before. Sarah would ask to use my card for gas. Then I'd see charges for random food deliveries like smoothies or sushi. She'd forget her wallet on date nights, then gush about how sweet I was for covering it. It was subtle at first, but it added up. Then came the payment app requests, Sarah and Emma both, hitting me up for $5 here, $10 there, for things like group snacks or treats for her cat, not my dog. I thought, maybe this is just how they roll. But it started to feel like I was funding their whole lifestyle. I'd try to laugh it off, joking like, "Should I just set up a standing order for your family?" Sarah would roll her eyes or call me dramatic. She'd say she and Emma were struggling right now, but then I'd see her with fresh manicures, posting about self-care. I overheard her talking to her friends about me, too, when she thought I wasn't listening. At brunch, she'd say things like, "Nathan never lets me pay for anything," and her friends would giggle. It didn't feel like a compliment. It felt like I was the punchline. One night, I walked into our room while she was video chatting with Emma. Before she noticed me, I heard her say, "Don't worry, he'll cover it." He always does. When she saw me, she switched topics fast, babbling about some viral video. I asked her about it later, and she got defensive, saying I was making a big deal out of nothing. I talked to my buddies about it, but they either said, "That's just how women are," or told me I was overanalyzing, which honestly just ticked me off more. I called my brother after a couple of drinks and asked if his girlfriend ever expected him to pay for everything. He just chuckled and said, "At least she makes dinner sometimes." Not helpful. Things escalated when we started planning the engagement party. Sarah was obsessed with making it memorable, but every time I mentioned a budget, she'd act like I was sabotaging her dream. She wanted this swanky rooftop venue downtown. I won't name it, but think trendy and overpriced. She told me not to skimp because people will talk. What really pushed me over the edge was when I saw her messaging her friend Lauren, saying she was making the most of this engagement. I wasn't snooping. Her phone was on the couch while I was looking for my keys. When she caught me, she grabbed it and bolted to the bathroom, locking the door. I heard her whispering to Emma, saying, "He saw it, but he'll get over it." I knocked and asked if we could talk. She yelled that I was being overbearing and to back off. The next day, she acted like nothing happened, asking if I wanted to hit the mall and if I could cover groceries since she left her card at home. I said I wasn't in the mood, and she got icy, saying I was bringing bad vibes, and she missed the old Nathan. That's when I started keeping a log. I made a note on my phone every time I paid for something she promised to get next time. I started saying no to small things like, "Nah, grab your own latte today." She'd sulk or give me the silent treatment for a few hours, then come back all sweet. Classic manipulation, right? Her family got weirder too. Linda texted, asking if I could help with Sarah's phone bill, just this once. When I said no, she sent a novel about how relationships are about supporting each other. I was like, yeah, but I'm not a credit union. One night, Sarah came home from drinks with her friends and went off about how her ex never complained about money and how I was embarrassing her. I told her if she wanted someone else to bankroll her, she should call him. She slapped me, called me a jerk, and locked herself in our room. I crashed on the couch, and when I woke up, she was gone, leaving a note that said, "Need space, don't text." I felt bad for a split second, but then I thought about all the bills I'd covered, the snarky comments from her family, the way she treated me like a walking wallet. Suddenly, I wasn't sorry anymore. That week, Linda called, more pushy this time, saying Sarah was devastated, and I should make it right. I told her I was done being everyone's cash machine. She hung up on me. I started digging through our shared accounts, checking what was in my name, what Sarah had quietly added herself to. It made my stomach turn, realizing how much I'd let slide because I thought that's what love looked like. I tried talking to Sarah that weekend, just to clear things up, but she was at Emma's, recharging. Emma texted me, saying Sarah needed to feel secure, and maybe I should make it up to her with something nice. I didn't respond. Sunday night, Sarah came back, acting like everything was fine, rambling about wedding themes and centerpieces. When I brought up money, she rolled her eyes and said, "You're so fixated on this, can't you just trust me?" I said I did, but it felt like I was the only one paying attention. She stormed out, slamming the door. I looked at my phone's spreadsheet. Every charge, every forgotten wallet, every time she made me feel small for caring. That's when I decided I wasn't just mad. I was done playing nice. I wasn't going to let her treat me like her personal bank and laugh about it with her crew. If she wanted to play games, I'd play too. But I'd play to win. And if you think that's cold, just wait. This is only the start. I get it. Some of you probably think I'm blowing this out of proportion. Like, she asked you to cover some stuff, so what? But it's crazy how quickly your perspective shifts when you start noticing the little things. Ever have one of those moments where everything just clicks and you can't unsee it? That's where I was. After Sarah slapped me into reality, literally, I stopped pretending everything was okay. I didn't go full-on rage mode. I just decided to test how far she'd push this. So, I kept up appearances but started pulling back in small ways. It wasn't some grand scheme at first, just me being fed up and a little spiteful, wondering if I was crazy or if she was really doing what I suspected. I stopped offering to pay for things. No more, "Hey, want me to grab you a drink?" when I was out getting snacks. I only paid if she asked directly, and even then I'd pause or say I forgot my card. She'd get annoyed, not outright angry, just this little huff or a side eye. Then she'd ask again a few minutes later, like she knew I'd give in. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. I kept logging every instance in my notes app. Every "I'll get you next time," every "oops, forgot my wallet." The list grew depressingly fast. Sarah's behavior changed too. In public, she got super affectionate, posting lovey-dovey photos and tagging me like she was proving we were fine. But at home, she was glued to her phone or video chatting with Emma for hours. If I tried to join, she'd say it was sister time and shut me out. I started muting group chats to see if anyone cared. Spoiler, they didn't. Emma kept sending me random videos about attracting prosperity and then hit me with payment requests for things like shared coffee or vibe support. I thought it was a joke at first, but then Sarah started doing it too, requesting cash for listening to me vent. It was bizarre. The engagement party planning got ridiculous. Sarah was obsessed with this rooftop venue, saying she wanted it to outshine her cousin's wedding. But when I asked for receipts or a budget, she'd get cagey, saying I was ruining the mood or not supporting her. I said I'd cover my share, but not her whole family's. She called me stingy. Linda started texting more, asking if I could help with Sarah's stress expenses during party planning. One time she called while I was shopping, asking if I could pick up some household stuff for their place. I said no. I had my own errands. She got frosty and hung up. Sarah gave me the silent treatment for 2 days after that. I opened up to my parents, which was awkward. My mom always thought Sarah was too comfortable with my money, but my dad just said to set boundaries and be a man. I told them about the bills and the party drama. My mom said if I didn't feel valued, I should stop paying. My dad said money brings out people's true colors. Then I found out Sarah had added herself as an authorized user on my credit card. Not by stealing, just by calling the bank and saying it was for shared expenses. I only noticed when I got a statement with charges for spa days, new clothes, and random online purchases. When I confronted her, she said it was easier since we were getting married. I told her she should have asked, and she laughed, calling me paranoid. I didn't yell. I just called the bank, removed her, and changed my passwords. Sarah got mad, saying I was blowing things out of proportion. She started being secretive with her phone and laptop, tilting screens away when I got close. One night, I grabbed her charger from our room and saw her laptop open to a spreadsheet. It was a list of things she wanted me to buy before the wedding, with columns for estimated cost and actual cost, like she was budgeting how much she could squeeze out of me. I stood there, torn between laughing and breaking something. I snapped a photo for proof. That week, Emma texted me about helping Sarah with her mood board and sent a list of pricey party items with notes like, "Nathan's got this." I didn't respond. Sarah noticed I was acting off and asked why. I said maybe I was tired of being the punchline. She accused me of making everything about money and told me to chill. I said I'd chill when I was treated like a partner, not a cash cow. She stormed off to her mom's. I started pulling back hard, canceled her subscriptions, stopped sending money for random requests, and checked every account to make sure my name was off her bills. She noticed and started asking why the streaming services were off or why her card got declined. I just said, check your own balance. Her friends started acting weird too. They stopped inviting me to things, and when I showed up, they'd talk over me or make snide jokes. I'm pretty sure Sarah was spinning some story about me because Trey started sending me memes about penny-pinching boyfriends. I blocked him. Things at home got tenser. more silent treatments, more slammed doors. One night, Sarah tried to push past me in the hallway, and when I didn't budge, she shoved me and called me a jerk. I told her I wasn't moving until we talked about money. She stormed out and didn't come back until morning. My parents called, worried about the condo money they'd given us. They said they'd pull it if things didn't change. I told them to hold off. I'd handle it. My mom said she didn't want me to be used. My dad said he'd have my back. It was nice, but didn't make me feel much better. The final straw was an email from the venue about a deposit for the engagement party, all in my name, even though Sarah said her mom was covering half. I called the venue, and they confirmed it was all on my card. I texted Sarah, and she didn't reply for hours, then said, "It's just simpler this way. Don't make a fuss." That's when I started planning my exit. I made a folder with every bill, charge, and forgotten promise. I moved my stuff out slowly. Old clothes, my laptop, my dog's toys. I set new passwords on everything. I told my friends what was happening, and even the ones who thought I was overreacting started saying, "Okay, that's not okay." Sarah noticed eventually and asked if I was upset. I said I was done being treated like a joke. She told me if I wanted out, I should just say so. I said, "No, I want you to feel what it's like to be left out for once." She didn't like that, slammed the door again. By then, I wasn't scared of her leaving. I was just mad it took me so long to push back. And trust me, I wasn't done yet. Things got stranger after I started pulling away, not just with Sarah, but with her whole circle. One morning, she left her phone on the counter, and it was buzzing nonstop. Instead of the usual friend group chatter, it was all from Linda and Emma, messages like, "Don't let him manipulate you," and "Make sure he doesn't mess with the party budget." That was my cue. Things were about to get messy. I grabbed my coffee, took my dog for a walk, and wondered who was actually in my corner. I went full-on detective mode, tracking every transaction, checking bank statements, and putting holds on our joint accounts. Not closing them, just making sure nothing went out without my approval. Sarah noticed fast. She came home from a shopping trip with bags, tried to use the card, and it got declined. She threw the bags down and called me controlling. I said, "You want to talk about this, or are we just throwing tantrums now?" She pushed past me, grabbed her keys, and left. Didn't come back that night. I texted my mom to keep her posted. She told me to document everything in case things got nasty. My dad called asking if I was okay, like he thought Sarah's family was going to ambush me over a declined card. I said I had it under control. I was angry, but not afraid. I just wanted my life back. The party planning got absurd. Sarah and Emma kept sending me links to extravagant venues like, "Just book it already." When I asked for a budget or who was paying what, they'd say it was tradition for the guy to cover it. I asked if Linda was chipping in, and Sarah said she'd handle it. Then Trey started posting memes about broke fiancés and tagging me. I blocked him, unblocked him, then blocked him again. Petty, but it felt good. Sarah's friends started treating me like the bad guy, leaving me out of plans or making snarky comments when I showed up. I kept moving my stuff out of the apartment, small things she wouldn't notice like my books and chargers, my stuff, my rules. My parents kept checking in, asking about the condo money. They said they'd hold it until I was sure. My mom said she never liked how Sarah treated my finances, and if I needed her, she was there. I started listening. One night, Sarah came home late laughing on speaker with Emma. She tossed her bag in the hall, kicked off her shoes, and raided the fridge. I asked about the bills, and she snapped, "Why are you so obsessed with money? You're killing the mood." I said I wasn't paying for a party I wasn't even invited to plan. She laughed, called me paranoid, and slammed the fridge door. Then she brushed past me, nudging my shoulder just enough to make a point. I checked the calendar and saw she'd booked a venue tasting in my name. I called the place and asked who was on the hook for the deposit. They said, "You are, Nathan. It's your card." I told them to cancel it. No deposit, no booking. They warned it'd be a pain to reschedule, and I said, "Not my issue." Sarah found out the next day and lost it, saying I humiliated her and everyone thought I was cheap. I showed her the photo of her spreadsheet saying, "If we're talking humiliation, let's start here." She lunged for my phone. I pulled it back. She slapped my arm. I said, "You can't spin this when I've got proof." Things got uglier. Linda called my mom, accusing me of financial abuse and ruining the family. My mom told her to get lost and hung up. Emma texted, saying I was destroying Sarah's dreams. I blocked her. Sarah's friends started DMing me, saying things like, "Real men provide." I ignored them. I told everyone I wasn't paying for the party and redirected all venue invoices to Sarah. I scrubbed my name from her bills, even calling the utility company to make sure I wasn't tied to her accounts. She got mad, tried to shove past me in the hall. I stood firm until she went around. Sarah tried guilt-tripping my parents, saying I was unraveling and needed help. My dad laughed and said maybe she needed a job. She stopped coming home for a few nights, staying at Emma's. When she was around, it was all cold glares and slammed doors. The day before the party was supposed to happen, the venue called to confirm. I said, "Talk to Sarah." They said, "But you're paying." I said, "Not anymore." I texted Sarah, Linda, Emma, and Trey saying, "You wanted a party, you handle it." Then I turned off my phone for the day. That night, Sarah came home, saying I made her look foolish and everyone was furious. I told her I was done being her ATM, and if she wanted a partner, she could act like one. She swung to slap me again, missed, and stormed out, slamming the door so hard it shook the walls. I sat down, finished moving my money out of our joint account, and removed myself from every shared service. I ordered dinner for myself, ate alone, and thought, finally I'm not the punchline. But the best part? Sarah had no idea what was coming next, and I was done holding back. After the party fiasco, I figured Sarah would just disappear, but nope. She doubled down. Suddenly, she was everywhere, showing up at the apartment, sending "we need to talk" texts, even leaving notes on my car. It was almost comical how fast she went from ignoring me to begging for a fix. But every conversation circled back to money. Always. At first, she tried the sweet approach, making me tea, suggesting we watch a movie, but then she'd slip in questions about bills or if I'd paid the Wi-Fi yet. One day, she even said, maybe we should just merge our accounts again, it's simpler. I laughed and said, you've got this on your own now, right? She didn't like that. Stormed off, muttering under her breath. Linda started texting again, all, hope you're looking out for Sarah, she's so overwhelmed, maybe help with her shopping? I ignored it. Emma sent a string of emojis and a meme about cheap guys. I blocked her. Trey called, left a voicemail of him and his buddies cackling. I deleted it. I moved faster, got all my stuff out of the apartment, from my gadgets to my dog's bed to my favorite jackets. I told Sarah I'd be at my parents' for a while. She said, fine, do whatever. She slammed the door, and that was that. I met with my parents about the condo money. They asked if I was sure about ending things. I said I was done. My mom hugged me, said she was proud I stood up for myself. My dad just said, took you long enough. We went to the bank, froze the account, and removed Sarah's name from everything. I texted her, heads up, you're off all accounts. Handle your own rent and bills. She replied, you're destroying my life. Sarah tried to flip the script, telling her family I'd abandoned her and left her broke. But I'd already emailed Linda, copying Sarah and Emma, with a screenshot of Sarah's spreadsheet and a note. This is how your daughter planned things. I kept it factual, no venom. Linda sent a rant about me slandering Sarah. I blocked her. Word spread and the group chat went silent. Some of Sarah's friends unfollowed me. A few messaged, saying they didn't realize how bad it was. I didn't respond. Sarah showed up at my parents' place once, banging on the door, screaming that I owed her and threatening to tell everyone I was abusive if I didn't cover her credit card debt. My dad opened the door and told her to leave. She tried to push past him. He didn't budge. She left. After that, she sent a long text about how her mom raised her to see men as providers, and she didn't know better. I replied, sort it out. I'm done. She said, you'll regret this. I left it on read. The last time I saw her was at the store. She was with Emma, pretending not to see me, but I caught her eyeing my cart and smirking when she saw I'd bought cheap noodles. I just laughed and walked out. My parents asked if I wanted to talk to her for closure, but I didn't see the point. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. I blocked everyone still stirring drama, changed my number, and got a new place in my name only, so that's it. No big apologies, no tearful reconciliation, no grand speech. Just me. Finally not the fool. I didn't get all my money back, but I got my freedom, and that's worth more. Sometimes you have to cut ties completely to make sure no one drags you back. If you spot red flags, don't wait for things to get better. Sometimes the only way to come out on top is to make sure they feel the loss, loud and clear. And trust me, Sarah felt it. Oh. Things got even stranger after I started pulling back. Not just with Sarah, but with her entire crew. One morning, her phone was buzzing non-stop on the kitchen counter. Instead of the usual friend group banter, it was all messages from her mom, Linda, and her sister Emma. Stuff like, don't let him twist your arm, and make sure he doesn't mess with the party funds. That was my signal. Things were about to get chaotic. I grabbed my coffee, took my dog for a walk, and scrolled through my own messages, wondering who was actually on my side, if anyone. I went into full-on tracking mode, logging every transaction, double-checking bank statements, and putting freezes on our joint accounts. Not closing them, just ensuring nothing went out without my say-so. Sarah caught on quick. She came home from a shopping spree with a few bags, tried to use the card, and it got declined. She tossed the bags on the floor and called me controlling. I said, you want to talk this out, or are we just throwing things now? She shoved past me, grabbed her keys, and stormed out. Didn't come back that night. I texted my mom to keep her in the loop. She told me to keep records of everything in case things turned ugly. My dad called asking if I was safe, like he thought Sarah's family might come after me over a blocked card. I told him I had it handled. I was pissed, but not scared. I just wanted my life back. The engagement party planning got outright ridiculous. Sarah and Emma kept sending me links to extravagant venues, acting like, just book it already. When I asked for a budget or who was covering what, they'd pull the It's Tradition card, saying the guy always pays. I asked if Linda was pitching in, and Sarah said she'd sort it out. Then her cousin Trey started posting memes about broke fiancés and tagging me online. I blocked him, unblocked him just to mess with him, then blocked him again. Petty, sure, but it felt good. Sarah's friends started treating me like the bad guy, leaving me out of plans or making snarky remarks when I showed up. I kept moving my stuff out of the apartment. Small things like my books and chargers that she wouldn't notice. My stuff, my rules. My parents kept checking in, asking about the condo money they'd given us. They said they'd hold it until I was sure. My mom said she never liked how Sarah treated my finances, and if I needed her, she was there. I actually started listening. One night, Sarah came home late, laughing loudly on speaker with Emma. She dropped her bag in the hallway, kicked off her shoes, and raided the fridge. I brought up the bills, and she snapped, "Why are you so obsessed with money? You're ruining the vibe." I said I wasn't paying for a party I wasn't even invited to plan. She laughed, called me paranoid, and slammed the fridge door. Then she brushed past me, nudging my shoulder just enough to make a point. I checked our calendar and saw she'd booked a venue tasting in my name. I called the place and asked who was responsible for the deposit. They said, "You are, Nathan. It's your card." I told them to cancel everything. No deposit, no booking. They warned it'd be a hassle to reschedule, and I said, "Not my problem." Sarah found out the next day and came home in a rage, saying I'd humiliated her and everyone thought I was cheap. I pulled out the photo of her spreadsheet and said, "If we're talking about humiliation, let's start here." She lunged for my phone. I pulled it back. She slapped my arm. I said, "You can't spin this when I've got proof." Things got messier. Linda called my mom, accusing me of financial abuse and ruining their family. My mom told her to lose her number and hung up. Emma texted me saying I was destroying Sarah's dreams. I blocked her. Sarah's friends started DMing me saying things like, "Real men provide." I ignored them all. I told everyone I wasn't paying for the party and had the venue send all invoices to Sarah. I went through every account, removing my name from her bills, even calling the utility company to make sure I wasn't tied to anything. Sarah got mad, tried to shove past me in the hallway. I stood my ground until she went around me. Sarah tried guilt-tripping my parents, telling them I was spiraling and needed help. My dad laughed and said maybe she needed a job. She stopped coming home for a few nights, crashing at Emma's. When she was around, it was all cold stares and slammed doors. The day before the party was supposed to happen, the venue called to confirm. I said, "Talk to Sarah." They said, "But you're paying." I said, "Not anymore." I texted Sarah, Linda, Emma, and Trey saying, "You wanted a party, you figure it out." Then I turned off my phone for the day. That night, Sarah came home saying I'd made her look foolish and everyone was furious. I told her I was done being her cash machine, and if she wanted a partner, she could start acting like one. She swung to slap me again, missed, and stormed out, slamming the door so hard it shook the walls. I sat down, finished transferring my money out of our joint account, and removed myself from every shared service. I ordered takeout for myself, ate alone, and thought, finally, I'm not the punchline. But the best part? Sarah had no clue what was coming next, and I wasn't holding back anymore.